Coasters. Oh my goodness, thank you for joining me today to read together. I'm so excited. It's Wednesday, the sun is out, we're gonna have a great day, and I'm so glad that you're joining me. So, Kipsters, a while back, we learned about identifying the narrator of the story. Remember, the narrator is the person who is telling the story. We learned that the narrator could be a character inside the story, or it could be a voice from outside the story. And there are clues in each story to help us figure out who's telling it. So if the narrator says words like I, we, or me, then it's probably a character inside the story, right? So when it's a character inside this, when the narrator is a character inside the story, the narrator is taking part in the events and actions of the story. If the narrator uses words like he, she, or they, it's probably a voice outside the story talking about all the characters inside that story, right? So, watch me figure out who is telling the story Olivia. I'm going to reread the first few pages and listen in to see if I can find any clues to tell me whether the character is someone, the narrator is a character inside the story or a voice outside the story. All right. This is Olivia. She is good at lots of things. She is very good at wearing people out. She even wears herself out. So Kipsters, right away, I noticed that the narrator is talking about Olivia. The narrator is using words like she, her, and Olivia's name, right? So Olivia is not telling the story herself because then it would say, I am Olivia. I am very good at wearing people out, right? It would use words like I. And the narrator isn't any of the other characters inside the story because remember, it talks about Olivia has a little brother named Ian. Olivia lives with her mother, her father, her brother, her dog, and her cat. None of those characters are telling the story, right? Because the narrator is still talking about those characters. So therefore, the narrator must be a voice outside the story. So, Kipsters, today, our job, we're going to take another look at Gilberto and the Wind. So I'm going to pop up onto the top of your screen in a minute to read that story with you again. And our job is going to be to figure out who is telling that story. Is it a character inside the story or is it a voice outside the story? We're going to look for our good clues like I, we, me to be a character inside the story, or clues like he, she, and they, which might tell us that it's a voice outside the story. Okay, put on our learning caps and let's get started. Okay, hi Kipsters. Now I'm in a little box up here and we're gonna reread Gilberto and the Wind. Let's get started. I hear wind whispering at the door. You, he whispers. You. So I get my balloon and I run out to play. At first, wind is gentle and just floats my balloon around in the air. But then, with a jerk, he grabs it away and carries it up to the top of a tree. Wind, oh wind, I say, blow it back to me, please? But he won't. He just laughs and whispers, you. Wind loves to play with the wash on the line. He blows the pillow slips into balloons and shakes the shirts and twists the apron strings. And he pulls out all the clothespins that he can. Then he tries on the clothes, though he knows they're too small. And wind loves umbrellas. Once, when I took one out in the rain, he tried to take it away from me. And when he couldn't, he broke it. If the gate in the pasture is left unlatched, wind plays with that too. He opens it up, then bangs it shut, making it squeak and cry. Wind, oh wind, I say, and I go and climb on. Give me a ride. But with me on it, the gate is too heavy. Wind can't move it at all. When the grass is tall in the meadow, Wind and I like to race. Wind runs ahead, then comes back and starts over. But he always wins because he just has to run over the top of the grass, and I have to run through it and touch the ground with my feet. When the big boys on the hill have kites to fly, Wind helps them out. Wind carries their kites way up in the sky and all around. But when I have a kite, Wind won't fly it at all. He just drops it. Wind, oh Wind, I say, I don't like you today. When the apples are ripe in the fall, I run with Wind in the pasture and wait under the tree. And Wind always blows one down for me. And when I have a boat with a paper sail, Wind comes and sails it for me, just as he sails big sailboats for sailors on the sea. And when I have a pinwheel, Wind comes and plays too. First, I blow it myself to show him how. Then I hold it out or hold it up, and Wind blows it for me. And when he blows it, he turns it so fast that it whistles and sings, and all I can see is a blur. Wind likes my soap bubbles most of all. He can't make the bubbles. I have to do that. But he carries them way up into the air for the sun to color. Then he blows some back and makes me laugh when they burst in my eyes or on the back of my hand. When the leaves have fallen off the trees, I like to sweep them into a pile. But then Wind comes along, and just to show that he can sweep without a broom, Wind scatters the leaves all about again, and he blows the dirt in my face. Sometimes Wind is so strong that he starts breaking the trees and knocking down fences. Then I'm afraid. I run in the house and lock the door. And when Wind comes howling after me and tries to squeeze in through the keyhole, I tell him, no. But then comes a day when Wind is all tired out. Wind, I whisper, oh Wind, where are you? Shh, answers Wind, and he stirs one dry leaf to show where he is. So I lie down beside him, and we both go to sleep under the willow tree. Hipsters, thank you so much for rereading that book with me. Now, remember, our job today was to figure out the narrator of the story, or who's telling the story. So I'm going to go back early on in the book. We're going to reread this page. I want you to listen to those clues that we talked about. I, me, we, and he, she, or they. At first, Wind is gentle and just floats my balloon around in the air. But then, with a jerk, he grabs it away and carries it up to the top of a tree. Wind, oh Wind, I say, blow it back to me, please? But he won't.